Hello and welcome back to Don't Be a Basic Biscuit. Today we have an amazing friend of mine on who is probably one of the best networkers that I know personally. Networking is incredibly important in our industry in real estate, but specifically it also kind of falls in line with marketing as well because you're marketing yourself the same way you would in any other way. You're getting clients, you're getting leads, and so today we're going to deep dive into the different aspects of networking. What you should do, how you should find it, and what you do afterwards. So let me introduce my friend here, Ricky Allen Maddox, the Director of Sales of Hudson United Insurance. Ricky, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm just a guy that got into the insurance industry and started selling it at the age of 18. And I got into different situations where I had to sell more insurance, sometimes to make more money, sometimes to keep my job. So different things. And that was 18 years ago when I started. And now I'm here with you. And I met you about 8 years ago. So I've been working with you for 8 of those years. So we've seen each other's growth over the last 8 years. But and I'm just a guy originally from the Jersey Shore. Now I live in northern New Jersey, and here we are.
Here we are. So the reason why I invited Ricky on is that I met him in 2017, and within a month, I immediately knew that we were going to be good friends. And a lot of that was how you developed your relationships. I saw how you treated people. I also saw your hustle, and your hustle, a lot of the time, everyone has their thing, right? And your thing was going to all these networking events and just finding ways to meet people in different ways. And then I noticed that like every time you went somewhere, and you met someone for the first time, all of a sudden that person started popping up everywhere else down the road. And I was like, how did this guy make such an authentic relationship with that person? And it became something that you really built, and this kept happening. So, I know a lot of people, they go to a networking event, they collect 50 cards, and then they do absolutely nothing with them. Nothing was done. It might have been as well as you just not going to that networking event because it was just a complete waste of time. So I'm going to start off with, when you first decide going to networking events or events in general, how did you find these events, right? Take yourself back to the beginning because now I'm sure it's different, right? I'm sure you have a lot of friends that go to these things, they tell you about them. But when you first started, why did you think of networking? And then how did you find these events?
That's a very good question. I've done all this before as a young child, so teenager, I should say, because I was in a band. And so when I was at sometimes I was the background singer, sometimes I was the lead singer. And our thing was to get in front of as many people as possible to show them what we could do and get them to hire us and get them gossiping about us. That was the main thing. We had to get them gossiping about us, good or bad. All gossip is good. Don't get offended by it. It just is what it is, and at least you're on people's minds. Um, so when I got into this industry of building business, it was very similar to just trying to get gigs having a band. It's the same thing almost. It's people remembering you when the need comes up. When I was in the band, in this cover, sometimes a cover band, sometimes it was a Christian rock band, whatever it was at the time, R&B at the time, whatever had a check coming in, that's what we morphed ourselves into doing. It wasn't tied to one particular thing. But whenever someone had a need or a gap in a program, especially in the Atlantic City area, we had what we called a mercantile license. Every time they had events, they needed people to fill up the time. And that was just a need. So I knew that I had to find people that did events that needed a band because they pay the band like $400 to $1,000. When I was 17 years old, that was a lot of money. So anyway, getting in front of the right people that can send me business. Fast forward to more while I was in college and as an adult, it was just getting in front of the right people that can send me business. Those people are people that help people buy properties, or at one point, it's people that help people buy cars, but it's all the same thing. So, whatever industry anybody's in, you have to find the group of people that could send you business and then make them your family. And this is if you like human beings. You have to like people in order to do this. If you don't like people, you just have to study your craft and then become like in our industry. If you don't like people, you become an underwriter.
Get into another industry if you
Get
don't
into
like
another
people there.
industry. Yeah. So, or if you don't like singing in the old days in the music industry, if you didn't like singing, you better learn how to play the guitar because if you're trying to make money, you got to figure it out. Anyway, so I figured out who could send me customers, and I figured it's easier to get in front of a lot of people. I got they when I first started, I had to do cold calling, and I had to call people. At one point, they handed me the yellow pages. At one point, I had to door to door knock, and I was talking to people that didn't want to talk to me. So I just made it my business. Thank God for social media. You know, back in 2012, I opened up an Instagram account, and at first I just did it because I just laughed all the time. And this girl, she was like, "Oh, if you like to laugh, so you need to open up Instagram." I was like, "What is this Instagram?" She said, "The videos are only 6 seconds, and it's real quick." So and now here we are with 40 a minute videos. Anyway, so just to directly answer your question, I made it my business to find out where these people hung out. The people that could send me business, where are they? And I had to just get in the middle of it if I wanted to make money. I liked the industry I was in. So it was the same thing as having a band. It was people just gossiping, talking about it, telling everybody what we did. Uh, and then also, just on the business side, when they paid us as a musical band, we didn't really, maybe I'll never be rich, but we never negotiated on the price. We said, "Oh, you're giving us $400? No problem. This is what we can do for $400," and we never negotiated. We didn't give people a hard time. So I brought that to this industry, and I try not to give people a hard time. You've sent me customers out of your personal sphere that they weren't always ideal, but I also never told you that they're not ideal. I just did the best with it to make you want to send me another customer. And so it's the same thing. Um, but how did I find the events? I just went to one and then I met the people. And what happens is just get involved in a group because whenever you have a group of people, people always get mad at the leadership and they want to start their own group. So you find those people that get mad at the leadership. Don't pick sides. Don't get into the gossip.
Because
Just
you
like,
want
oh,
to go
you
to both events.
go to both events. And now, everybody's struggling because nobody's united anymore. So they're over here. Now there's 10 different groups spun off of one and everybody's trying to, struggling. And what happens is well, I don't want to give too many secrets away, but you go to all of them.
Spill the beans, bro.
Well, I mean, the beans are that you just buy a ticket. You save your money. Don't sponsor any of them. Just buy a ticket to all of them, and then it adds up to the amount of the sponsorship. So now you're at 10 events talking to 300 people. Anyway, but that's I can ramble for 3 days, but you know,
No, there's a lot to unpack from what you already
yeah, I
said.
said a lot.
So but there's a lot of like good stuff in there, and I want to kind of focus on a few of them. One, before I forget, I'm going to say them out loud. One was that you had to identify where your target market was. So you did some research on the type of events that the people you wanted to be in front of were going to. So it didn't always have to be a networking event. It could have been any event. It could have been the yacht club, and you found your way into the yacht club, for example. So that's really important. So that's something I wanted to highlight there, is that you actually did some research to figure out where the people you wanted to be in front of were. Then you mentioned that you tried to make an impression on them. So let's kind of jump back in there real quick. Is that, obviously people have their own personality. You have your own personality, and your personality is, something that catches the eye of people, right? So outside of that, you can't tell them how to be like you, but how would you give somebody else advice on making an impression based on all the people that you've met? What did some people do that caught your eye?
So way back when, a buddy of mine, I used to work at a large bank. And when we worked at the large bank, we were at the retail level. So when you're at the retail level, you see these big Wall Street guys that are just like killing it. And we're like the broke 20-year-olds in a retail branch in your local town, like, wishing we could say we're investment bankers, but really we're tellers and bankers at a desk hoping you open a checking account. Anyway, a buddy of mine that I worked with, he told me, he said, Ricky, what we got to do is we have to get into the club. You have to get into the club where it's a club of people where you're taking care of them and you're taking care of them and they're taking care of you. I had just moved up here to North Jersey. I didn't know anybody. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I don't have a club to get into. So what do I do? So luckily, um, fast forward to today, work for a great company, and they said, well, your job is to find people that can send you business, and that we're going to pay you to do that. So I started doing that. But so to create a club, I just tried to. You can meet 100 people in a day by collecting business cards. That's not the problem. The problem is getting to their actual club. And so, you know, Harveer, you and I have developed a certain kind of club, where we're taking care of each other. And this is just years in the making. But my point is that once you meet someone, you have to be genuine, and you're not going to get rich quick right now off of anybody, really. All you can do is add people to your database or your drip campaign or your social media. We are blessed with so many social media platforms, and they all have different audiences. And when you meet someone, you can put them into your database, put them into your social media, and what happens is after a while you have maybe 10 people, then you have 20 people, then you have 30 people, then you have 100 people. And thank goodness for likes, because likes can tell you what people actually like or don't like. Back in the day, they had the Nielsen ratings. And so they had people going around to people's doors trying to get the Nielsen ratings, hoping that you fill it out so they can know what people like to watch. But today, it's so freaking easy because we have likes and we have comments, and now you can see if somebody shared it. So once you get someone into your sphere, you put out content that they might like, and you can see what they like based off of the feedback of the likes and the shares and the comments, and then you give them more of that. But just going back a second, getting into the club is being genuine. If you see that someone had a kid, you say congratulations. If you see someone has a dog, or they lost their dog, or that someone's relative died, or this and that, mention it, remember it. At minimum, you got a birthday list on Facebook. Call people and tell them happy birthday. Just to say, hey, my records indicate that. That's an old bank trick we did. But you call people if you don't have any friends and you want more friends or you want more people in your network. Just call people and say happy birthday. It'll work wonders for your life. Do
That's
it
the
for a
best.
year or two, and your life will not look the same as it did last year. Sports. You don't have to be into sports, but you do need to know who has the favorite sports teams, right? If I like the Yankees, and you're trying to you want me to like you, you better text me every Yankee game, good luck to your Yankees, or good luck to your Mets,
That's
good luck
funny.
to your Raiders, Seahawks, Eagles, whoever, 76ers, you know, and you put genuine love out there, and that's not being a shyster, it's just putting a communication out there, but putting your best foot forward and creating a club. You don't have to get 1,000 people on your side, but you
So
put
when you
genuine,
say
yeah.
creating a club, what do you mean by define what you mean by creating a club?
Creating a club, loyalty is important. Loyalty can be sliced up many different ways, but in a club, you don't speak bad of each other. And if you do, it's because we're trying to figure out a problem to help them fix their problem. But you uplift the person in front of them and behind them. Um,
Is it
you
like
know,
a friends group?
it could be a friends group, but you have friends and then you also have a club. I have a club of people that I'm not really friends with. It's just we watch each other's back. We will smoke a cigar every now and then. We will go to the bar. But, when it comes down to it, God forbid, I don't think they might not show up to my funeral, really, if something happened. But and I might not show up to theirs, really. I don't know, but it's there's different ways
Now
of
you're a good networker. You're going to
I
that
I
funeral
do. I
making,
show up to
but
all
you're making connections. No, I'm joking.
I go to all the funerals. That's a whole nother story. That's an old school thing. But it's a club where people are solid. And if someone refers you business or does something for you, you take it seriously, and you show the person that you appreciate it, or you call and say thank you. Whatever it is, you always say thank you. If someone asks you to support something, if you can do it, you go do it. But you're creating a club, and my point of this is that if you have no club, you don't know people, you build your own, and this way you could at least make it something you would enjoy. But some people join the Masons, some people join fraternities, some people join, alumni of their school, alumni of a bank you work for or a firm you work for.
And some people create it like you did, right? And I swear
Yep.
to God, I'll tell you one thing: if you don't come to my funeral, I'm gonna haunt your ass. Um, but all right, so okay, so you actually took a different angle than where I was going with on that making an impression. So your impression creation is like over time. It's like get the contact, create the
Absolutely.
impression down the road.
Absolutely.
Now, when you meet someone, let's say you're at some sort of an event, a networking event or a professional event or whatever the hell it is, are you trying to meet everyone there, or are you just trying to meet a few people and build a genuine first impression with them?
It depends. It depended on what stage of my career I was in. You know, in 2018, 2019, I was meeting everybody. I was meeting everybody. I was contacting everybody. And I saw what stick. At first, my goal was just to fill up my social media with followers of people that I actually knew. I wasn't trying to get a bunch of followers to get into the hundreds of thousands, but I was trying to fill it up with people that I've actually met. And so if I've met you, I get your Instagram or your Facebook or your LinkedIn, and I put you into the proper bucket, Facebook, whatever. And if you are really like stiff neck, I'll put you in LinkedIn. If you're like all about the family thing, I'll put you in Facebook. If you're as crazy as me, I'll put you in Instagram, whatever. So um, I put you in a bucket. So at first, I was just trying to fill up the buckets and create an audience. So I wasn't really trying to meet a lot of people. What I was trying to build an audience, and these cell phones have made it so easy to build audiences because you can end up on people's phone screens. That was like amazing to me. Before, you were trying to get into the newspaper, but now you're just trying to get into people's phones. That's the benefit of getting old. When you get old, you remember how hard it was, and that's why these boomers work so hard, and some of these millennials are so
It's
hard to
boom.
get them off the
No, for
couch.
real though. There's a
But
different work ethic, man.
it's
You
a
had to work
different work
so much
ethic.
harder.
Because the boomers remember when all you had to do was knock on your door and I sold you the vacuum cleaner. Now it's like AI can take your job right now. But we
That's
remember.
true.
And, well, not we. I'm not a boomer, but I'm just saying I know about it. But
You're a wise soul. You're a wise soul.
so I forget your original question though. Bring me back to the topic.
It was how many people are you meeting? So you kind of got it. In the beginning of your career, you were trying to meet everyone at the networking event. I'm guessing now you're mentioning towards the end of your career, you're probably targeting more, and you're trying
Yeah.
to build a
Now
genuine
I'm
relationship with
targeting
a few.
people. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm targeting people that are a fit for the club now. I may put you in the audience. Audience is a little bloated at the moment, where I want to be able to get back to people the same day. I have people that call me and say, "Oh, I haven't heard from you, and you don't talk to me anymore, and you don't open my reels that you send to me." So I want to get back to those people, and I want to laugh at their reels and say, "Oh, this is funny. You're right. This is funny. We are still friends." So I'm not trying to. I don't want to build the audience too much right now, but now it's people that are really a fit for the club. I mean, people that might help your business. I know that you're in the business of building and empowering real estate professionals. If I see someone that fits into your group, I'll say, look, you two got to meet. And now it's more about connecting people. Help you meet you, and now you all are thankful that I introduced you, and now both of you will help me because now you all are feeding off of each other. Um, Honestly, I watched a series on Netflix that changed my life. It was The Black Godfather. She just showed how he helped people for free for a long time in the music
You
industry.
told me about this.
So it really
Yeah.
changed everything I did. And I said, "Oh, well, I could do that, and I could do that for people in the real estate industry. I could really just try to help them, and they'll remember that I helped them, and then they'll owe me a favor." So if you can get a bunch of people that owe you a favor, all you do is answer your phone. People doing favors for you all the time. It makes it easier.
That's really interesting. Okay, so first off, now what is the documentary called? Where can we find it?
It's on Netflix. It's called The Black Godfather. He just passed away, and his wife actually got murdered a couple of years ago.
Wow,
But
that's sad.
a lot of musicians and famous music people that you're very familiar with attribute their success to him because he taught people, I guess, how to negotiate contracts and this, like this and that. But that was his thing. All the way back to Jackie Robinson, all the way up until now with Janet Jackson, he has helped everybody. And Justin Timberlake, he's helped everybody, launch their careers and do that. But anyway, he helped people for free, and he had a lot of friends. He always said, "I'm not rich, but I have a lot of friends." And the word "friends" is very elaborate, and it could mean a lot of different things. So that's really, and then
It's
a couple
interesting.
other series that I've watched have changed how I do
If
things.
any of
But
them come to mind, let me know because I
well,
love
yeah,
unpacking like good
Breaking Bad.
value.
Breaking Bad was a big one. Breaking Bad was big because,
Really
yeah, because the guy, he was doing his business, shady business. Yes, we could all get over that and get over yourself. It was shady business, but he negotiated in a way that he only had 6 months to live. So when you only have 6 months to live, you do business a little differently. When this might be my last day, I'll talk to you a little
interesting.
differently if this is the last day I might have on Earth. So that really struck me. If I start dealing with people like I have 6 months to live, and my closing ratio shot up. And so the other one is Vikings. So Vikings was a huge one. Vikings
Wow.
taught me a lot about leadership and management, and how you don't. A big quote from Vikings that you don't desire to be king, but you just really desire to be the best at your role, and the people choose their king. You can't, even if you're anointed king, the people will really prove if you're king or not. So,
Yep, yep. There was a similar line in Game of Thrones where I think it's Tywin Lannister that it goes to his grandson. He's like, "If you have to say you're king, you're not the king."
yeah,
But that also brings me back because that's really really interesting. I have noticed this about you is that you find these lessons out of the shows or movies or just we've talked about how politics, they're the best. It's the best salesman of the world, and we
best,
talk about how excited we are to watch
best,
these political debates and just to
best.
see what they do to sell and that's so true. And I've actually done a lot in politics, local politics, specifically in New Jersey. I would go to these events and I'd actually learn from them. What are they doing when they're running a campaign? And I started doing the same thing. Like they were putting up billboards, I put up billboards. They were sending out postcards, I started sending out postcards. They had stickers, I started making stickers. So it's very interesting how you found lessons from the most random places. I feel like people usually watch these shows and they just forget about them.
Absolutely, because these people are fighting for a commission check. I mean, when you watch the news, yes, the news is biased, but they're biased because they're getting paid. And I would do the same thing if I was on TV, and so would you. So don't
Yeah,
act,
true, true, true.
if you can make millions of dollars, you're going to say, "Oh yeah, this is what a cause that I believe in." So it's not it's they're salespeople, and I learned from them because some of them put on a good act, and they'll take it to their grave because they say that this is a cause that they believe in, or some of them are trying to stay out of jail, some of them are not trying to get killed, some of them, they all have their own agendas. But my point is that they are pushing what they just let it in encapsule them and make it a thing that they believe, and they sell it so well. And so from a business standpoint, not really from a political standpoint, but from a business standpoint, whatever your business is, even if you have like a smoothie business or you're selling pencils, you have to really believe in it and really take it to heart, as if you're only going to live for 6 months, right? And you manage things well from Vikings, right? So, uh, but yes, the politics is never, I guess I can watch any news channel and I just crack up because these people really um, go far to prove their point because they're trying to keep their jobs. They're trying to justify their paycheck. Or the principal, like my mom is a retired teacher, and she was confused because her principal was fined for 20 years, and all of a sudden her principal started acting crazy and having all these requirements. I said, "Ma, she's just trying to justify her paycheck. Just play the game." And then she had a smooth career after that into retirement. But
Oh, that's awesome.
anyway,
No, that's interesting. And yeah, I was thinking because you do that, and it's a unique thing. A lot of actually what you've been talking about, I've learned from a book called The Giver's Gain. where you give and give, and you don't expect anything in return, but it naturally comes back to you, right? Have you heard of that book? Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's a really good book, and it really kind of it portrays that. Just everything that you said here is just like the giver gain mentality, is just try to give things to others, and you create genuine relationships and friendships, and yes, they'll probably help you back. Not everyone will help you back, but some people will help you back, and that'll be enough to use that mentality. Okay, that's interesting. So what else has helped you with networking? So, any other gems that comes to mind?
Well, one thing that I learned from middle school is in middle school, I remembered how, um, let's say if you had the school dance or you pulled up to something, if you can get people excited that you pulled up or excited that you have arrived and everybody's screaming, "Oh my God, he's here! Yeah!"
That's true.
When you can do that, you don't have to work hard in meeting everybody because everybody stops what they're doing because you're there. It's like, oh, he's here. Like, oh, they're excited. So I've learned from a young age in middle school that I didn't know what I was learning back then. I didn't know it would help me at 37 years old. But what I
That's
learned was that
crazy.
if you can get, like I tell people, when you get like some people get fired from a job, they had such a toxic like breakup from their job and they hate the company they work for. They hate everybody they work for. They hated them and they were in HR meetings and the boss hated them and everything was everything was so horrible. Okay. I tell people, you're going into this new job. Don't bring that stuff to the new one. Now, before when they say, "Oh, here he comes. He's here." Now,
That's a whole different.
build
You
it
don't
up
want
and
that.
say now, oh, you want people to be excited that you've pulled on the property. Or say if you work in a multi-level, say if you work in New York City, there's 100 floors in a skyscraper. Now you're working on the 47th floor before you worked on the 46th floor. Everybody on the 47th floor, oh, he or she, they're working on our floor right now. They're working on our floor right now. We're so excited that they're here. They're here. And so if you can over time just build a culture where people are generally excited to see you, and a little bit of it is avoiding conflict, a bit of it is you don't always stand up for what you believe in, you don't always cause a problem, but you make people comfortable. And long story short, even though this is already a long story, is that I learned that if you can get people excited that you have arrived or sad that you couldn't make it, the people that don't know you will want to know you because of the excitement. It's like a big ball of fire, and everybody wants to catch on to the fire. And then you don't have to network because everybody's already done the networking for you. So
That's a reputation there we're talking about.
I've walked into, like in my world, it might be a mortgage office. I've walked into mortgage offices and everybody stopped what they're doing. And now all these other people that thought they didn't want to get to know me. Now it's like, well, I want to get to know those people that know that guy. So now I got to get it in the mix. And now we're, what are we doing here? Everybody's kissing your feet. But, you know, I learned that if you can build a culture where people are excited to see you, it will make your job easier or your business easier. Or like Chick-fil-A. People are excited to go to Chick-fil-A. I don't know what they did. They probably put drugs in the food. I'm just kidding.
Cocaine or
I'm just
something.
kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't sue me. But I don't know what they did, but people are genuinely excited to go to Chick-fil-A. The people are nice. The people give you something free if you say it's nasty, whatever. Whole Foods. Generally, people are kind of excited to go to Whole Foods. People are generally excited to go to different places. They go on Instagram, whatever. But if you can get people excited about it, then they'll gravitate towards it. But
So that's cool. So building the reputation for yourself and being, you know, aware of what that reputation is that you're building is very, very important, because you're right. People do go to work and to just complain all the time. I see it all the time. People just come
I
in
know
and they
you
just
do.
complain. And Or it's like, yeah, you're right. When you go in there, yeah, you could complain to your what did you call it? Your crew, your group, earlier.
Mhm.
You can complain to the group, but don't be complaining out there to the general public,
Mhm.
because you're right. If you come out there, you'll build that reputation of being that negative person, and all of a sudden, when they see you, they're thinking, "Oh God,
Oh, here he comes.
here he comes. Here
Here he
it's going to be a
comes.
negative day again. It's going to bring
Yeah.
me down." You don't want to be the person that brings people down. And so what I'm getting from you is that you're always actively thinking about how to uplift the situation, uplift the room. And that's what makes people like you, is because they see you and they're like, okay, this is going to be a positive experience, because every time I've talked to Ricky, it's been a positive experience. So that's also really interesting, because I think that's incredibly important.
And people say nice guys finish last, whatever. Nice guys also last longer. They have more longevity. Have more solid careers. So that there's something to that. So I mean,
That's
being a
true.
jerk all the time might work today, but it may not work tomorrow. And you need it to work tomorrow just as good as today. So I'm not saying be a pushover all the time and do what everybody wants, but you keep your mouth shut. You don't have to say something about every situation. If somebody asks you to keep something quiet or confidential, you do it. You don't you keep trust. I mean, so that in general people can be comfortable that you are in the room because they know that you're not trying to take them down. But whatever it means to you for people to be excited to see you coming, that can make your life so much easier. And sometimes it does get overwhelming that you don't want to go places, because then when everybody's screaming when you go somewhere, like, I don't want to go there because they're all going to be screaming my name. That does.
Oh gosh, I don't want everyone screaming my name. Oh
I've
no.
pulled out of situations because of that, and I just kind of had to restart.
Really?
Yes, I have. But because
That's
sometimes
so funny.
especially as you get older, you just want to blend in. You don't want people making a big deal when you show up to things.
All
So
right, I
sometimes it
get
gets
it.
out of control, and it's like, you know what? I'll just let them do what they're doing. I'll show up. Or maybe you say I'll show up after everybody gets drunk, or something like that. I'll
Then
show up.
it's worse.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Then we're all having a good time. But anyway, that's the situation. It just makes your career so much easier, especially if you're doing this to make money. It's not like if you're working at a nonprofit. I get it. You're just putting along. But if you need your more money next year than this year, then you have to build the foundation to do that.
No, that's a perfect way to end off, and I absolutely love this. I think that people are going to be chanting your name when they hear this episode. That's for sure, guys. Don't forget his name, Alan Ricky Maddox. You could find him on at follow Ricky TV. Correct?
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
So follow him on follow Ricky TV on Instagram, and Alan Ricky Maddox on everything else. Right?
If you don't like humor, don't even open the Instagram. Just go to like LinkedIn or something, and it'll be just go over there. So it's a
So
humorous comedy
yes.
page.
As you mentioned, if you're only into professional content, go to his LinkedIn. If you're a family guy, go to his Facebook. If you like comedy, go to his Instagram.
Yeah.
But no, Ricky, I really appreciate this, and just last words before we head off. Anything that comes to mind?
Sure, your future is not in what you lost, it's in what you have left. So pay
Damn, look at
attention,
this
pay
guy.
attention, pay attention to what you have left because your miracle might be in your remains.
Oh wow, man, look at this. Look at this guy with his gems. All right, guys, that's it. So, I always end off my episodes the same way. Don't be a basic biscuit.